So now we're ready for the second coat of oil. Whenever you put any liquid on wood, it raises the grain. So you've got it really smooth with that 600 grit sandpaper. Then you put the oil on it, and if you feel it after it dries, you know, it's still smooth, but it's not as smooth as it was. So what we do on the second coat, when we're ready for the second coat of oil, is we hit it again lightly with 600 grit sandpaper. Now again, as I go over it, I'm going to be looking for any places where the instrument retains the sanding dust, because that's going to be evidence to me of a sanding scratch from earlier work or a gap that has to be filled. I get really carefully in around that neck joint. You'll see me do that again at the fretboard. Again, as with yesterday, I'm going with the grain. So little strokes in there, the grain is going that way. Then the grain goes up there. Carefully in here, looking for any binding gaps here. One last time really to look for oil. Sure, I mentioned it yesterday, but really when it comes to any part of the instrument construction, don't save problems till later. Don't think, oh, I'll fix that, you know, when it's in finish or just later on. Because they're always, the later you wait, the harder they are to fix. You might damage something else while you're fixing what you're trying to fix. And usually there will be some evidence that you've worked on it. Just won't be as sharp and as clean. Now yesterday, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you probably saw me blow off this, or not blow off the sanding dust inside the sound well here, or I'm sorry, inside the sound hole. So yesterday when I hand sanded, I did not blow off the dust, and that's because we liked it there. It, with the oil, might fill any tiny, tiny gaps that we didn't see. But at this point, I'm really now trying to get the perfect top coat, and I don't want any dust in it. Even though I can sand it out the next day, again, I want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to blow it off. Little squirt root. If I squirt the air and I don't tell her, she gets really upset. Little squirt. All done. All right, I've already put my fourth coat of finish on the instrument that was ready for that, my third coat of finish on the instrument that was ready for that. So I've got my rags here. They're already properly charged. A little less soaked than yesterday because I'm one coat further down the line. This will absorb less and less finish every time. I'm about convinced that really 3 coats of oil is all that's necessary. We don't really see anything change after that 4th coat, but we like to put it on just to make sure we've got nice complete coverage everywhere. Starting to look good. You know, I think that's really with 4 coats, I mean every coat up until the last one, everyone has a pretty dramatic impact on the look of the instrument. What's wrong? Roxy's been getting very vocal in her old age. She's now 12 and a half. Doing really well. Look at this cool feature this neck has in it. Can you see this? Right there.
Oh, with the heel, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Things like that sometimes get just exposed. You're carving, you have no way of knowing that's inside there. You see, I put a little bit more oil. I actually pour it on the rag carefully. But a little bit more for the sides. just because I kind of want to do it in one pass like that. Again, really careful when you're wiping off to get into any cracks or corners, because you do not want any excess buildup there. I mentioned that yesterday, but deserves mentioning again. The other thing I'm looking for as I go around this is any areas that I did not wipe off yesterday. There shouldn't be any, but every once in a while it's possible to make a mistake. And they'll appear as a little, well, a run or a drip, a shiny spot. Like there you can see maybe shiny. That's just from where I just put on oil and the rag wiped it off on the side. And even when I'm putting on the oil, you can see in general, you don't have to do this, but in general, I'm going with the grain. I'm also, you see me moving my head around a lot because I want to get reflected light off the back so I can see any places that I might have missed, any issues with the wood. You also notice as we get further and further in the build process, we're more and more and more careful about where the instrument is sitting and hanging. We're pretty careful early on. You saw how careful Ben and Carrie were at the very beginning. Seems like ages ago, doesn't it? But here at the end, I've got this instrument on carpet that's cleaned, and on top of that, paper towels, because boy, I don't want to get a dent or a ding or scratch in it. And again, because this is maple, this is ebony, you know, really one coat of fretboard oil is all it needs. Ebony is just so hard, finishes that way. The maple, we like to give it a little bit more, especially a little bit later on, you'll see us doing fretwork, and we may be using steel wool, and so having a little bit more protective coat on the light colored maple is good. Now I'm just looking at, again, I really am getting the edge of my paper towel. See that? Right in there. All right, step 10. Picture for it, I do as a top shot. There we go. We'll see you first, the third coat of oil. Bye-bye.